cannot be but a word of thanks and giving thanks to God and giving thanks to the owners and operators of this radio station for giving us the opportunity to interact with you, the pavilion. I want to say a special thanks to the members of the pavilion who keep on calling and sharing their own perspective with us. We want to say thank. We don't assume that you have nothing better else to do. You know, we are a society of complainers. So if you take the time to discuss and to share your point of view, we appreciate it. Yeah. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. We do not take it for granted. And we want to begin on that note, and I give leeway to my fellow umpire for a bit.
Good afternoon to the management and staff of this great radio station, 91.9 FM The Street, to the management and staff, to our listening audience in Radio Land, Trinidad and Tobago, to those in the Caribbean listening to us, to those in Russia, Nigeria, Ethiopia, those in Singapore, Dubai, England, to the President of the US. I know he's listening to us right now. Sit down on the golf course with his radio on. We say welcome. Say good morning, good night, good evening. Yes? Are we batting this ball today?
Oh,
what's happening on the pitch?
Well, there's a lot on the pitch.
Oh,
there's a lot.
man.
The match report is filled with a lot of things. So we're going to try and see what we can do. Some of the things we revisit.
Yeah.
But from a different angle.
Talk to me.
You know, there's a saying that there's nothing new under the sun. Under the sun.
In Trinidad.
In Trinidad and Tobago. Worse yet on this island. Yeah. This island. Land surrounded by water.
Yeah.
This island. And first up, we want to, you know, I like to read from the scorecard. I like to read from the match report. The Law Association, LAT, okay? The Law Association has announced a medium-term plan to push for new workplace legislation addressing sexual harassment. The plan follows the success of its recent webinar, Sexual Harassment in the Workplace, held on July the 30th. A statement from the association said that on August the 4th. The association said it intends to work with other stakeholders to draft and advocate for legislation that directly tackles workplace harassment. This step, it said, aims to bring Trinidad and Tobago in line with other countries. So we're not in line. We're not in line. Let's get that clear. We're not in line. That have already passed such laws. The initiative will also include a public awareness campaign to build support and understanding an understanding around the issue. As part of the plan, the association will continue offering professional training for attorneys. These sessions will help legal professionals understand how to prevent, report, and handle sexual harassment cases effectively within their workplace and the broader legal field. It also intends to formally develop a template for a policy on sexual harassment aimed at guiding members on prevention, reporting, and institutional responsibility. And they go on to say it is punishable under their code of ethics. They had a well-distinguished panel. Attorney Ria Mohammed Davidson, advised case law, president of LAT, Leonard Sibran Sweet, senior counsel, also made Southern Lawyers Association president, Ms. Lacan, addressed criminal dimension of sexual harassment and the gaps that still exist in enforcement and protection. Commissioner of the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, Roberta Clark, explored strategic responses needed to support safe workplaces, including gender-responsive legislation on sexual harassment and workplace policies. So, my friend,
what bring about the genesis of this?
Well, I wanted to ask you.
Well, I don't
what
know.
What do you think? What happened?
Well, I don't know. Suddenly there's this big interest about workplace sexual harassment by the Law Association and so forth. And it speaks to a large extent to the conduct of lawyers. If you read the article, it talks a lot about lawyers and their conduct relative to sexual harassment and so forth.
I didn't know lawyers conduct themselves like that. I didn't know that.
Well, you know, we had one the other day that had a press conference, right? Saying that he know about that. But I was segue, not directly but indirectly, talking about the same lawyers. And when I will start taking lawyers serious, I don't know what is their modus operandi for having 230 lawyers in this thing, and it was so important to them. But I never see they come together to discuss in a real way why it is a man who waiting for his case to call 2 years in remand yard, and how we could fix that. Why are so many cases in the court being stand down, and deferred? Is it because it's poor people that is happening to? Because did the case start and finish, you know? It have fellas 3 and 4 years sit down in remand waiting for some minor case, and I will start taking, you see, they will distract me with that confabulation of I don't want radio words and so forth, you know, because I will start taking them serious when they start looking at real issues that impacting the legal system in Trinidad to reform it and so forth. Yes, there is an issue, sexual harassment, and nothing new be going on. Men, I know there was some law some time ago that talk about what is construed as sexual harassment. Calling a woman and making lewd suggestion is an offense. So sexual harassment is on the books to some extent, you know. It's an offense.
Sir, we are not up to mark. The Law Association, the people who know more than me and you, say that there are gaps and we're way behind other countries in bringing legislation to deal with workplace.
Are we not way behind in other countries in terms of having people on remand yard for 3 and 4 years waiting on a minor case to call? Are we not in gap? How did they never thought about that? That don't bother them?
So
are they not in gaps? I question now the integrity or the gumption of lawyers to come out and be this big hoofo, like if I will say, they're showing a level of empathy and ethics and so forth. Listen to me. Miss me with that, really and truly. I hear them. Yeah, it is good that we look at workplace harassment, because, you know, sometimes we say sexual harassment in the workplace is a female thing, but also a male thing too. It's both genders are harassed in the workplace, to a large extent.
Have you ever been harassed, sir? Have you ever been harassed? If so, whom did you tell?
Who I reported
and
it?
If not, why not?
Why not?
Report it, sir?
Or did I reposition myself to be further harassed?
So that laugh, that chuckle, you sound rather guilty and complicit. You sound complicit in this
after the first
allegation.
After firstly being harassed, you start buttoning down one less button when you're going to work now.
Because Sparrow, in his, we opened with lying excuses about Sparrow, and it sounded like you had some jeb sting and some, you know.
I don't know what you say. I haven't been so fortunate or inconvenienced in any way.
Unfortunately, you have not been a victim.
Unfortunately, thank God for that. I suppose it is something that really and truly any issue. And if you look at some of my posting on Facebook and my status on WhatsApp and Instagram and so forth, I look at a lot of the systems that govern workplace practice in terms of the ethics and what is expected of teams and leaders in workplace and so forth. Yeah? And no anything that cause any amount of discomfort to anyone in general, be talking workplace, an employee, And sometimes bosses intimidate workers, and the worker understand that, let me just say nothing, because I need this job. I have to feed the children and them home. The father gone, I can't find him. And the 2 children had to get school books. So let me just go along with the being taken advantage of, yeah? And himself, I cry out the effort. The lawyers, and they say they're doing work pro bono for workers that have experienced this. Because a lot of times things not do advance because somebody can't pay a lawyer to do it, you know. So things get swept. When you reach by the office, you start to pay a bill before you see them. Now everybody could afford. Did they talk pro bono work for people who have been sexually harassed in the workplace? You see, a number of things have to take place for me to start taking somebody serious, you know. Don't feel you could come and just fling thing and you excite me. I'm not easily excited, you know.
We learned a lot of things about your confession today, but please be guided. We are on radio. We on radio. We learning a lot of things about you. Carry on, sir. Carry on.
Confession good for the soul,
but bad for your reputation.
Yeah.
Good for your soul.
Yeah.
But bad for your reputation.
Yeah. So a lot of times, the reason why it fester in workplaces to a large extent, because really and truly, who do I go to? And if I go to them, what happens?
That's a serious issue. What happens?
What happens? And then if I had to go and take a lawyer, could I afford one? I can't. Then what's the consequence of me getting fired while this thing going on? And how do I feed my children in the meantime that demand fire me because I do this? And so you look at consequences in taking action for a discomfort that is caused, yeah, to you on the job. There's a lot of repercussion. A lot of things go through a victim's mind before they act. A lot of things that to pay attention to, you know. The what ifs and so forth. I also call the 5 W's. How could I survive it? What will happen? Will I lose my job? Will I get a job tomorrow? Will the next company say, hey, that's the woman who has take their boss them to court, you know, we are hiding that at all. All that plays, and that is the lacuna. So in addressing that, from a legal standpoint, they also have to look at consequence in raising the matter. You know, there's that point in time, people say we're not, boy, me are going to give the police no information because witness was dead. So there's consequence of being a witness. You want to do good, you know.
Yes.
I will inform the police, look the man down the road.
Yeah.
But I could be a victim.
Yes.
If I do that. So in saying all of the pretty things and putting all the laws in place, we have to look at consequence of a worker doing that and so forth. Now, we can't put the worker in a witness program, it's no big crime. But the worker say, look, the boss harassing me every evening, I have to stay back hour early and polish his shoes and so forth, and iron his shoelace and so on. What do I do? Who do I go to?
In Trinidad and Tobago, there's no such charge as sexual harassment under the Sexual Offences Act.
Mm-hmm.
However, other Caribbean countries as Barbados, St. Lucia, Belize, and Cayman Islands and Bahamas have amended their laws to include sexual harassment, making it a criminal offense where individuals can be fined, jailed, or both. In addition, employers who refuse to enact a workplace policy on sexual harassment can be fined. In both Bahamas and St. Lucia, sexual harassment is a crime and can only be triggered by a formal complaint to the police. Only Belize has standalone legislation on sexual harassment through its Protection Against Sexual Harassment Act. The Protection Against Sexual Harassment Act protects against sexual harassment in employment by the prospective employer, actual employer, or other employee. Sexual harassment in institutions and sexual harassment in relation to accommodation. In TNT, there have been countless reports of sexual harassment, both public and private sector. Several instances of alleged sexual harassment have been reported and investigated by local companies. Many of the reports have been dealt with by the way of financial settlements, promoting the victim or fining the perpetrator. The industrial court has recorded 3 cases of unfair dismissals based on allegations of sexual harassment 1996 to 2011. The first case involved Bank Employees Union and Republic Bank. This case sets out a precedent for which the other 2 followed. All General Workers Trade Union and NGC, and All General Workers Trade Union versus Aki Chong Limited 2011. Now there's a 2019 article, by the way. Huh? 23 years ago, former Industrial Court Judge Cecil Bernard called on legislatures in TNT to implement a sexual harassment policy in the workplace.
What year? Okay,
All right.
Go ahead.
The judge also called for amendments to the Constitution to incorporate sexual harassment. Fast forward to 2019, which is the year the article was written. The judge's recommendation is yet to take effect, despite successive governments advocating for safer work environments and promises to implement workplace policy and legislation to deal with sexual harassment. In Parliament, in March of that year, the Ministry of Labour laid the government's National Workplace Policy on Sexual Harassment. Additionally, the Equal Opportunities Commission compiled a 64-page booklet detailing guidelines on sexual harassment in the workplace. Checks at the Industrial Court by the Express revealed that Bernard, on March 25, 1996, had delivered a landmark ruling following a wrongful dismissal suit of an employee from RBL. The employee raised the ground of sexual harassment. The Bank Employees Union took legal action against RBL following the dismissal of an employee who had worked in the establishment for 25 years. According to Bernard, the case was the first of its kind. As we are aware, according to the judge, this is the first case coming before the court in which sexual harassment has been the central theme. For that reason, we could find no assistance in the jurisprudence of the court. Bernard made references to cases tried in Canada. However, while those cases are persuasive authority, we recognize that this court is under a duty to take into account those peculiarities of the TNT society which may find expression in the workplace. This is really the crux of the matter, the discussion, right? The peculiarities of the TNT society, which may find expression in the workplace and which could influence us in a direction different from that taken by foreign courts and tribunals. As an example, we recognize that in a certain sections of the society and in certain types of employment, peacock can be rough and commonplace. So that what is said in Canada may not necessarily have the same effect here. Sexual harassment is not an offense sui generis, Latin, in a class by itself. It is merely an aspect of sexual misconduct which has attracted popular attention, and this non-neutral and somewhat emotive culture. The judge said, when one speaks of sexual harassment, the term itself is used in a way of expressing an idea which has come into public consciousness, and not only as signifying as well-defined workplace offense. Therefore, when we speak of sexual harassment or any derivative thereof, we mean no more than sexual misconduct directed in the workplace at an unwilling victim to whom that conduct is offensive, unsettling, upsetting, psychologically damaging, and otherwise stressful. Bernard noted that there is legislation outlawing sexual discrimination in some countries.
So is it the word we're looking at, harassment?
Well,
or sexual misconduct?
Well, that is also part of the discussion, because he puts the discussion in the context. He talks about peacock. He talks about the lack of jurisprudence in our own setup. Therefore, having persuasive authority in interpreting the circumstances with foreign cases, he cautioned that our culture is a little different. So in the workplace, there is something called peacock. Good. And in Trinidad, that peacock could be very dicey. Umpire Matteson, welcome. Welcome. and we had some confessions earlier on. I don't know if you heard. Right. You heard, yes.
So I wanted to ask, why didn't I wanted to ask him if a man ever asked
He didn't disclose the gender of the perpetrator. Yes, but he didn't report it. So that's the problem with crime. If there was no reporting, really and truly it was crime.
And I guess that's why the law it was important for the law association to do what they did, because as they would have indicated, as Lynette would have indicated,
yes,
that the legislation and the policies needs to be strengthened to protect people like yourself who would have gotten.
You know you talking about it misconstrued.
To protect people in the workplace.
No, but
yes.
So both the legal minds, the HR people, you know, everybody in the workplace.
Yeah.
So while I think it was kind of like following on what would have happened with another brother,
one of their colleagues
in the
fraternity.
Fraternity. I think it's late. I mean, that sexual harassment in the workplace, or what is deemed to be sexual harassment, or you know, is something that is more or less prevalent. I mean, if when legislation is drafted and go to the parliament and thing, you would see almost everybody, almost every man probably might have been able to accuse almost every man of some kind of harassment in some way, because sometimes you do things without considering the ramifications. Sometimes you're friendly, you know, how you address a woman or you address a colleague in the workplace, it could be considered sexual harassment sometimes. Always unwanted, it could be considered sexual harassment.
And this topic is very important. Might I add, sir?
Do we define by the word, because you could have harassment, have assault, abuse, but there is a conversation once that was, you can be charged, I was get, by the way you call out. I never use harassment as the word. Like if you see a woman and the way you speak to her and the terms you use, so she can consider that as an abuse. You understand? So
it's just like abusive language.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Yes. So we might use harassment, but then we could switch it up from harassment, and we could bring the charge on the abuse. Because if you go and squeeze up the woman, she don't have to use harassment. She can have her sexually abused by you. You understand what I'm saying? It's how you couch the charge.
But all that, we had to leave that for the legislature.
Yeah.
The parliament, the drafters, and that kind of thing, and then we'll comment on it as go forward, because it will have, at some point in time, it may have people who, it may have people who feel in some way that they have been aggrieved by the way the laws are drafted, and you know, that kind of thing. It takes away part of the culture also, because we operate in a different kind of culture as from this region, or what happens in Canada and thing. We operate in a totally different culture.
Yes.
Totally different space. Totally different workplace. And it's either we say we want to move away from that in totality, or we want to draft laws to restrict certain things. One way or the other, something have to give, because you have too many abuse. I mean, both by men on both sides. You know, you have too many abuse in the workplace as where sexual activities and sexual harassment and abuse is concerned. So I agree with what the Law Association is piloting at this time. It was needed a long time, and you know.
Well, we do have some context issues that we will obviously need to hurdle, and I'm just going to read a short snippet from the Equal Opportunities commission dealing with a matter that they dealt with a couple years ago. The Equal Opportunities Act makes no express provision for sexual harassment. The words sexual harassment are not found in the Act. The Act does not expressly censor sexual harassment. It doesn't provide a definition and or provide redress for it. It was really Ada's decision, but the tribunal had no jurisdiction to hear claims of sexual harassment under the Act. She also said the complainant is male. He has not denied being a host. So this goes on to some gender issues. As we say, if it's a homosexual issue in terms of gender, in terms of the complainant. Historically, sexual harassment has been primarily, though not solely, a woman's issue. Within the recent past, the uncloseting of heterosexual gender identity has revealed a different dimension of harassment. The stigmatization, intolerance, and segregation of non-heterosexuals may have its genesis in biblical sort of philosophy and medieval past. So, the reason for raising this is not the salacious dimension which exists, you know. It's quite, you know, we don't need to search far and wide to find out what provoked the Law Association response. And that is a discussion about their own, but they did respond. But really and truly, for us, especially for you and I, and even for Umpire Michelle, it being a workplace issue is a real problem. Because if the correct policies are not in place, and if workers, according to former Judge Bernard, workers are then dismissed based on sexual harassment claims, if that whole process is not done right, if the whole process, they don't get the things right, then matters at the court is going to end up at the industrial court.
Yeah, I remember a time I had a matter not long ago, probably about 2 years ago. The matter didn't end up reaching a situation, but the employer did dismiss this gentleman after a lady claimed sexual harassment. And that matter got, it was settled, right, eventually. But that would have been a dilemma, a quagmire also, because when you looked at the issues before the court at the time, the law, as a matter of fact, the practice didn't cater for that, or doesn't cater for that. So yeah, and which is why it's important to put national policies in place and also to put legislation in place so that you could protect both male and female in the workplace.
Yes, because we have different orientations towards gender, and obviously what constitutes harassment or not. We also will have to address the issue of, in the job, of duties and responsibilities, right? From an industrial relations point of view. Because some of the issues, underlying issues in sexual harassment, have been where seniors give duties and responsibilities, quote unquote, to juniors as a way of grooming them that are outside of the job spec. And they couch it into related duties, and then let's flip the script. Some workers consciously may be looking at a little promotion.
Well, again, you see, you're going to try to legislate something that is, you're going to try to legislate something that is very difficult to legislate. A certain kind of prerogative in the workplace, you will not try to legislate that. And therefore, the only thing I could say about that is if you could make policies very explicit so that it doesn't have that kind of confusion, but you still will have it in some way, because any other related duties is something you would see a lot in job descriptions, right? And any other related duties more than likely would mean that your employer, your supervisor, could ask you to do something that relates to your job, but not written in your job description. And yeah, so, right? So, right? So, yeah, you could have issues, and you know, I see we're going to have a very, very prolific proponent of HR who will be here with us this evening, and I'm sure, and when we having this, the last time we had this discussion and this kind of discussion on this program, she was here.
Yes.
And it would be nice to hear what she have to say about this, because we kind of dealt with this already, yeah?
Yes.
By the way, we dealt with this in a very comprehensive way before, in the absence of legislation and that kind of thing. So what the Law Association is seeming to do or wants to do, in my opinion, that's welcome. That's welcome.
Yes,
because we could skirt around it here, but I mean, if coming out of that you have drafters and you have drafting going to Parliament in terms of making legislation to fix it, I'd like to see it, and I'm sure we will get to
but my question to you, Umpire Matheson, and the other HR expert who has walked in the room, Umpire Sanford, and Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Mitchell has a difficulty this afternoon. We must tell you, Mr. Sanford.
Yeah, he will have a difficulty.
Yeah, because
he was harassed. And
he was harassed and he didn't complain. And therefore there was no really crime according to the books.
Like that.
But you know,
and
when I asked him that, he smiled. When I asked him about the occasion, he smiled. His memory was quite pleasurable, for want of a better word. But we stand in solidarity with our fellow umpire. You know, we stand in solidarity. Yes, we are here. He maybe didn't know Umpire Matheson then.
We hope you probably didn't know me by that time.
Yes.
We hope you didn't get violated.
Yeah. And we cannot pursue that matter at this stage. The time span.
We can't help you. We can't
according to the act, how long we have Mr. Matheson to report the matter after the offense?
Yeah, 6 months.
Yes, and we this was about 16 years ago. It seemed like, you know.
Probably was a younger guy.
Yeah. A younger version. He was exploring the workplace.
Oh,
maybe he misinterpreted other related duties. You know, Mr. Matheson just bowled that ball, you know. Selvon, I have a problem with that. Umpire Sandyford, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I have to ask if Mr. Mitchell was taken for bagels.
Oh my God!
I just have to ask
my word! Oh,
that he didn't come in.
You hear how much he bowled?
Yeah, that's a low ball. That's a low ball. That's a low ball. That's a low ball.
It's a low and a low ball.
That above the waist.
Just asking.
You get bagels?
You don't need the deterrent fire for that at all.
Yes,
everybody see that no ball.
That was a no ball. That was a no ball.
No, but it's all well and good, as I was saying.
Yes.
That when these things, but look how long Justice Bernard talk about it. Eh?
Yes.
You think again that somehow I use this word when they hear me use where's the mischief? I get from Matheson. Always.
Yes.
Look for the mischief.
Yeah.
How suddenly it suddenly so important.
But you know what the mischief is?
Yeah, I know. No.
You don't know what the mischief is.
Exactly. So since Bernard talk about it, a lot of them who in this law association were in the Senate, you know.
Yes.
Were in the Parliament, you know.
Yes.
Okay. I never seek to bring it as a motion of public interest.
Yeah.
Never see.
Why
now? Suddenly. So we know it's a mischief and so forth, but what I'm saying.
But when laws are created, laws are created out of some kind of either some kind of upheaval, some kind of situation that is creating miscreants in society, and they can't solve it by legislation, by certain kind of public order and that kind of thing, and therefore that becomes a mischief, and that becomes the reason why laws are created by the legislative arm of the government.
Agreed.
So maybe by what we would have had before and what prevails now, what is happening now among senior people, because I'm seeing two situations in the last month or so with prominent persons who are accused of certain things.
Yes.
And all of that, I'm sure would have caused the Law Association to say, hey, listen, we need
to be more relevant.
And to say something and to probably have some kind of training on it, which they did. And then, of course, to assist in drafting legislation assist the legislators in drafting something, you know. Because to me that is important. What do you think?
You know, I'm listening to the conversation and I'm thinking of the video. I think you shared a video with a young lady talking about leaving the legal profession because of that type of harassment. So it would be interesting to know if they have that information at all.
But it's not just the legal profession.
No, it's all over. But seeing that they are coming out to talk about it now, it's important in your training to address these concerns.
Once a man in the workplace, or I don't want to say a man, because I don't want to sound
because sexual harassment can come from the cleaner
so
to a man.
I don't want to sound like
a
misogynist.
Yes.
No, I don't want to sound like a male chauvinist. Right? But at the same time, once people in the workplace, some people feel a certain kind of power over you, and authority, sometimes they exercise that in ways that could be considered as, you know, harassment.
Yes.
And
correct.
Some of them.
Yes.
Right? And that is dangerous. Right? But I always, you see, what you don't want to create is a society or a workplace that is so fearful of operating and maintaining the status quo and the culture and that kind of thing, that everything is, you know, we get Leviticus with respect to how we operate in the workplace. So you always have to keep it as unwanted. Right?
Yeah.
If the person wanted, you had to respect that. Right? But if a man tracking in the workplace, Simoya, and you like it, I mean, or you take it elsewhere.
That is the reality. You know? It all comes down to that. So how is it allowed to go so far? Because the person must have had some type of invitation. I am just saying, sometimes these relationships, it starts with pecan, and then it goes to a distance, and then when the person get what they want, in a lot of cases, when some people don't get what they want, that's when they make those claims. So, you know, how do you really differentiate the two? That is where the problem comes for me, because there can be cases where a man could be innocently accused of certain things.
Well, I'm glad you say that, because that is prevalent also. I mean,
yes, and that causes damage to the person's reputation. You can't get away from that, because everywhere you go, people will say, but he's a rapist. You ain't even say the whole story. You're going straight to, you know, it happens.
Right? But I want to tell you, it also have laws and things to protect yourself against that too. I mean, that's certain action you can take for that.
And I think if we explain that in detail, that should it be found that this allegation is not true, you have to express the severity of the punishment for the person. If you are making this up and we have evidence to show that this information is not correct, this is not a situation of, well, I assume it was this way and it was a mistake. If you make a deliberate effort to go this distance to damage somebody's reputation, what happens there?
Remember, in most cases, the policies protects
the accuser. Yes.
It protects the person who's accusing, even if it is found that the allegation was false. Right? Because if you punish the accuser, then it would be that it will make it difficult. It will make it kind of
For these things to come up in the future. But
for somebody
I
to,
am
you
still
know.
saying at some point
So,
there
yeah.
should be some kind of conversation, some type of training to speak about this, because that reputation doesn't come off of the person. How
That
do
is
you
true.
deal with that?
Yeah, that's true. And I'm glad you saying it.
It doesn't. So then what happens there? We can't do anything about it in the workplace, but then do we share that we can take this matter
Maybe
legally?
that's why I said one that never really reported it.
No, I go back, I should say that, I go back to the person from the bagel guy.
Yeah.
If innocent,
Yes.
that stain ain't going nowhere, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That stain there for life, you know.
Yeah.
And how we train you behave, we peculiar. We'll say, well, use some loophole and get away. But he guilty, you know, but he do a thing. We
Yeah.
like to believe the worst of everybody in the first instance.
Well, there's
And
the court of public opinion. So,
Always, and that is so
Damage to
detrimental.
reputation.
yeah.
But
To
that-
one's
that
reputation.
That happens all the time at
Yeah.
men and things.
Yep.
I mean,
It's unfortunate.
you know, so something. Let's see. Once my money get affected in the bank and thing, but you gotta know. You can say what you want.
But we are living in cancel culture, Stephen.
Correct, because I was going
People
to tell
will
you,
cancel
recruiters, HR personnel, tend to call where he was working before,
Yeah,
and we
They'll
hear
go far
how
to do background checks.
he
They will
was
send investigators.
dismissed.
yeah.
He wasn't guilty, you know. We never find him guilty, but we had to let him go.
Yeah.
What does that tell you as an employer?
Yeah.
Do you want this person? No, he is prejudiced by that report.
But that sound like a case like what Bernard was reading.
Yes.
Bernard was talking
Yes.
about
Yes.
in the industrial court.
Yes.
Things, sometimes, I mean, it's just sad. I don't know how we get like this. But this is something.
Well,
that-
Sparrow, here we begin with Sparrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we choose Birdie for a reason. We know why we get like
I
this.
think, but what Samara said, if there's consequence for false allegation, and you know, I could be wrapped on my knuckles hard if it is found that the allegation I brought was false. It would sort of slow down these things from coming to the fore, you know, false allegation.
But do you want them to necessarily slow down?
No, I want them to be truthful.
But you have to sift it.
Boy, bigger guy, get away.
Yeah.
Because that is not because of that. I feel he might get away because of
What
fact that
came
was
out in the
the
public.
expose.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Although it looked like, I mean, bigger guy was getting.
well, some
something
people
all the time and something
interpret
happened.
the law associations.
And look, a man,
I don't know.
a man found guilty, but you have a title, bagel guy.
Yeah. Some people interpret the law associations
Yeah.
expose as preemptive. In whistling and saying, we do have all the ducks in a row to deal with this.
Where you going with it?
We have some ducks, you know, because they talk about code of ethics. So you asked Mr. Mitchell, umpire Mitchell, you asked, how come they come out with this?
Suddenly.
So no, what caused that? But to me, it seems like a preemptive strike because there have been much talk in the public about he guilty, what you gonna do, they gonna do. But somehow, all the bolts end on the bicycle.
Yeah.
So the law association has come out and said, we
Just
try
a-
it.
just a-
And I was arguing one to with someone. I was listening to them.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I hear them raise certain other things.
Well, that's a situation we will deal with when we come back after the drinks break, because you're quite correct. I find it quite
peculiar.
on the issues in which they comment. It's almost it's like, and I mean, that has been my complaint. It's quite, what was the word I'm really searching for? They have a very, 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 you can't really calculate it. It's not consistent.
Yeah,
The things they talk about and the things they don't talk about. When they speak and when they don't speak. And often enough, when it's one of their own.
Ooh, a level of exuberance
Yep.
is demonstrated.
I haven't heard in the,
Yep.
you heard in the law associations anything on Nelson Gate?
No.
You know who at the center of that? Everybody there?
Not
Okay.
a word.
All right. So, callers, members of the pavilion, we didn't forget you. We just laying the foundation for the discussion, and we will bring you on in the next hour right after the break. We're going to pose a question and we're going to get into it. Please do not ask umpire Mitchell anything about his past. Please, that was just for discussion, and we will get into it right after the break.
Young people of Trinidad and Tobago, are you ready to step into the future? B-Mobile is opening the doors with its very own Future Leaders Internship Program. And this is how your big break. This could be your big break. Listen to me. If you're 17 and 21, I should say 17 to 21, and not currently working or in school, this is your chance to gain real world experience in high demand field like digital sales, AI, and procurement. And yes, you will be paid a stipend while you learn and grow. No degree? No problem. No experience? That's okay too. All you need is ambition, a willingness to learn, and a drive to succeed. But don't wait. Application closed on August the 6th. And there's only 600 spots available. Only 600 spots available. Visit the website today. Now, visit the website. tstinternship.com and apply today. Your future is calling, and B-Mobile is ready to answer with you. B-Mobile, life is on.
Well done, sir.
Again, a free phone, yeah.
That you read that the voice songs like the guy who sang Congo Man. That voice song's kind of familiar. You know, the way you read that. Did you sing Congo Man, by the way? Did you sing that song?
He's a nice sparrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, this is a topic when we started today.
Serious talking.
Tell me why we talking about this. There's a distraction, painful memories. You don't want to go down that road. No, you don't want to talk about that. But he like no, he's come off away, and we're making light of just in a light manner of a very serious workplace issue, because we have relatives, we have nephews and nieces out there. We understand. In our society, there's also the homosexual aspect, because you know there's not all are heterosexuals, and it could be your nephew and a male boss.
Yeah.
Good. It could be your son and a male boss who is not giving him an easy time at work, you know, and your nephew or your son going to HR, he going all over the place, but he will not really get. He doesn't feel he's getting he's making any progress with this issue, because a lot of what has to deal with sex and sexual things in our culture, according to the learned judge, is taboo, and that's truth. How we define it, you know, the law, and Mr. Matterson did say the law, it's going to be very difficult to be codified in law.
Yeah.
You know, there are obviously going to be some things we can't say, but what words are that? Doo-doo, darling, what can't you say?
Yeah.
You know, there will be things that you can't say, because, you know, I don't know what the AI will have to say about this.
How you watch the woman and she feel you undressing her with your eyes.
Correct.
Is that how we
correct.
defining all of that?
Correct, because
tell me how to watch you now?
But some
You can't tell people how to feel.
doesn't leave nothing to the imagination.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
But you still can't tell people how to feel, because as a woman, we can tell when you're undressing with the eyes.
You can tell that.
Yes, we can tell.
Okay.
That's
We
a
can
special
tell.
power.
No.
Well, I don't wear glasses. This is just a reading,
So when you dress and you leave nothing to the imagination.
But that is still not
Still
not
doesn't give him the
your
right.
business. They don't give you the right.
Yes.
So
I
how
know that.
I will learn something here today. How do men undress women? What we have one eye half closed, one open a little wider. How does
Just open what you open.
I will give some examples. So
Let's learn.
there's a lustful look that a man is give a woman,
Yeah,
especially
everything
you
all
watch it.
I couldn't.
Stephen, listen, you're getting besides the point here. You know what that look, y'all men know what that look is like. We know it, especially when you're watching intensely and you're licking your lips and you have to talk with the deepest tone, and you know,
So if your lip dry, like, if you're talking about and your lip get dry, don't lick it then.
There is a way, right? There's
There's a way to lick your lip when you're talking about, man.
Listen, y'all are laughing about it, but y'all know what I talking about. And the same way y'all know what you're doing, we know what you're doing too.
So when you watch a man and you watch his design his shoe and you say, that shoe, I like that. His shoe was big.
But
boy.
Stephen, you could tell when a woman is flirting with you as a man.
When you watch his shoe and you know, all them things.
And he tall.
And he's tall and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that yourself. You don't know. Somebody was watching his size of his shoe. No, I mean, serious. I mean, let me
Listen.
Conjecture, you know.
Yeah.
People could tell when you are approaching them a certain way, which is why it is important for the person, whoever it is, male or female, to let it be known, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested
in how you watch. Don't watch me so, please. Don't tell me nothing about the size of my shoe.
So if you go to court and you ask the court, say, well, give evidence of how he was watching you. What you have to do?
Well, yeah, now he was licking his lips.
For me, I think you will have to explain it in simple
that is going
terms.
to what Empire Rolex asks, you know. How do we start defining these things in law? That will be the challenge.
And that is what makes it complicated.
Because we have a culture of how we behave, you know.
Correct.
It's how we behave.
Which is why it's important for the person to not accept it.
You're looking beautiful today. And one might be offended, you calling me beautiful.
I
Like,
remember.
oh, I just fitting you. It's a compliment.
So everything had to go in context.
Yeah.
You know, because
I remember my
your friend, your good friend and work, all them know each other, you know, and you tell them, hey, I love how you look today. I mean,
that's a difference from saying the way the dress fall on you.
And next month, will you fall out and you say the same thing, and she say, hey, you understand? And as Simone was saying earlier, it's based on the relationship that established with the person, you know. You and I good are saying it. You and I fall out. When I say the same thing, it's like, you know.
So, I agree because I remember my first trip to Guadeloupe, learning and seeing French people kiss on two cheeks. That's culture, you know. That has nothing to do with them liking you, you know.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Brilliant. Good example.
In France too, same thing.
They do that, and our orientation towards sex, and I even remember, I mean, this carries the example maybe to an extreme. They have nude beaches. It has nothing to do with them being promiscuous.
Yeah.
They
And
just
not
go
because,
there,
and if you watch Brazil Carnival, it's not a free for all.
Yes.
Some people, when I was younger, said, well, we have to go there. That is the Mecca of Carnival. But it is not as it appears to be.
Yeah.
Good. There are serious rules and laws in those places and in that context. And we do not have such, our behavior, I mean, our carnival is a whole different discussion, you know, and harassment in that context.
Yeah, so
you know,
and you know, and because I mean, it's normal to stand behind a woman and drive for carnival or something. She wind back, if she
And the
wind back.
police and all else be doing it.
Yeah.
So.
But workplace is difficult.
Carnival, yeah, the watch and lick your lips and thing, and just go and
It's a free for all. That's why, you know, some people end up dancing on vagrants, you know. Because it happens.
But the work
big boy,
work is hard to codify because I am on the other. I will err on caution. I am the strict watch. Let me just be the nerd and don't interact. And Bayer Matheson is different. He says that you don't want the workplace to become so stringent that, you know. But we have to protect ourselves.
100%.
So we have to ask ourselves: this sexual harassment, is it a shield or is it a weapon? So that's we're going to ask the callers today. Call us 342-008-1466-5391. Sexual harassment, a shield or weapon in the workplace. I'm seeing a caller right now. Good afternoon, caller. Good afternoon.
Well, actually, I just called because I was waiting for the question, and it was not forthcoming, so I went, and I'm now back.
So the question is, sexual harassment in the workplace, is it a weapon or a shield? How do you see it?
Well, I don't see sexual harassment, period. But anyway, is it a what?
A weapon or a shield? Because we argued that some people use
it. Could be, it could be either. For some people it's a shield, for some it's a weapon. It's according to how it's used, or whatever. But I thought you were speaking earlier about a law. Somebody brought a law or something.
No, that was the
So that is out.
the law association talking about the same
Right.
sexual harassment and workplace policy and guidelines.
Right. And I wanted to ask, is the law for that, right? For the sexual assault or whatever it is, the law. Is it for only the workplace? Because I was trying to get onto you all to find out why you all only see is that whole sexual thing. Is it work? Sexual at work.
You have laws to protect people against assault.
That's assault.
That's assault. So those are criminal things.
No,
But
I'm talking about sexual. I'm talking about not assault. Sexual. You're only talking about
Harassment.
the sex part in work, not outside of work, outside the workplace.
But I think
Because I know some people brought up their husband for sexual. But that, I don't wanted to know if we have any laws for that.
But caller, what we're trying to say is that we have the discussion is in the context of sexual harassment at work. Because outside of the
Oh, that's it, right?
yes,
at work.
outside of
I just
work
wanted to
it
find out
becomes
if
sexual assault and there are other things to deal with it. But we're dealing with work because the context of the law association, they were looking at the law profession as work, and they were speaking to their own really, lawyers being able to report cases of sexual harassment of their partners and their fellows. And in that whole fraternity it have senior and junior, and must be junior and senior. I ain't too sure. So they were talking about as the legal profession, how could they better deal with this and make it a little more easy, and in other workspaces too, because in workplace it's hard even in the public. And it becomes even more difficult in work. Because if there are not clear policies on it, you could make decisions that could affect people's lives.
But you could have a million policies. You see, when it comes to that part, the work part, and I think it's up to the people.
Okay.
I don't know, but I don't know I can't answer that. Whether it's a shield or what. But I'm listening.
Okay, thanks, caller. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Hey guys, good afternoon. How y'all going?
We're fine.
Welcome, man.
Good.
Welcome.
All right, happy to touch base with you guys again. I sincerely wish the best for this platform in terms of being one of the few ones that really addressing the issues in totality. Hopefully, y'all could allow me a little 2 minutes and maybe engage me. The topic about sexual harassment in the workplace, from my experience, and I being objective and respectful, women play a major part in promoting the sexual harassment in the workplace. I would say full stop. And yesterday evening when I was listening to you all, and overall on this radio station, in conversations in general, that's the prevailing trend in society. Long story short, I have observed women appear to be of the perspective that men need to mentally submit and focus on them and them only. If they detect for the slightest that you're not dedicating 180% of your brain to just focusing on them, whether they're right or wrong, whether they're absolutely, totally wrong in their morals, in their perspectives, in whatever they're thinking, they want you to follow them blindly. That is what I have humbly observed, and I sincerely believe that observation is totally correct.
So let me ask you.
I am a gentleman.
No,
So,
don't
yes,
go.
go ahead.
Do you see it as, from your experience as a young person, do you see it as entrapment?
I would definitely consider that, absolutely. You ask any young woman, you gentlemen more mature, but I believe the cycle rotates itself. So back in the day, I know there was a lot of I don't know if you guys was partying to Kitchen and Sparrow and
So when you use back in the day, you have to address Empire Mitchell. Okay?
Okay, my apologies. My sincere.
Back in the days, Empire Mitchell.
I walk with Gandhi, you know.
Not too far back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a major problem.
Would you report it?
I can't.
And work. If you were.
Absolutely.
You would report it?
But you see, definitely, absolutely. Because first and foremost, is I would focus on the issue, not the gender, not the age, the issue, and what the issue could potentially cause. You see, is first and foremost is a disruption in my focus.
Okay.
If my focus when I come to the workplace and my contractual agreement with my human resources manager, they ask me to come to work, sweep, mop,
right,
vacuum, wipe up, full stop. In clear English.
You ain't doing nothing
not
extra.
Not Trinidad. Well, you see, no, I mean, anything else needs to be discussed and mutually agreed to.
Okay.
Because I mean, yeah, if I work with that company 5 years later.
So what if your job description say any other related duties?
I was coming to that, as most modern day contracts say any other related
HR people
duties.
Smart. Yeah, yes. Go ahead, deal with them HR people.
And if I think about it from the little textbooks I would have read, that can't really be used as like a carte blanche. So like I think like when some car parks say disclaimer, any issue caused whatsoever to your vehicle or property, the owners take no responsibility whatsoever or liability. That I don't believe that could be used entirely, because let's say if you have a workspace and you thinking, and let's say you have a faulty lamppost in the workspace in the car park for a van, and it damaged somebody's property, or you know, it have persons who they're engaging in a little behavior or conduct that your security personnel or the manager not regulating, and in some way, somehow, it caused some issue to me. Is it an issue you could have treated with? So I know sometimes law professionals just so happen to say in certain moments that each situation will be treated on its own merit.
Yes.
So, but the main topic you guys talking about, that's a major problem. Because sometimes some of us, well, not me, as Trinidadians, we like to benefit from the issues, but we wouldn't want it to happen to us. We don't want to bear the impact of that. So then what type of cycle we really contributing to?
Colin, let me ask you, do you feel young men, if they're harassed or groomed or being groomed by an older female boss or supervisor, you feel they will report it? Young people today, you think they will say anything?
Good. Now, being honest with you, based on how we have been conditioned from television, music growing up, there would be, in my imagination, some young boys, if you find the person attractive, you might be excited about what you have seen in television shows. You know, a teacher looking attractive.
You will try your hand.
You might really consider that. You might feel as though you get super lucky. This might be an opportunity that you might remember forever. And then I would say honestly, some younger women, if they get that attention from an older male who might fit a certain profile that they have been conditioned to seem as a desirable male, they might welcome it in their own way. So I would say it goes both ways.
Right.
But yeah, and I want to open back up the lines for you guys.
All right.
I will listen, but I would really like to say there has been a strongly right now it's like a juggernaut. The culture of women just trying to create a roadblock for certain men who don't want to conform and comply to their own misconceptions. You know, and men have been going along with that, so where they totally on board with that now. You know? So great topic as usual, guys. Really, really great, really important. And Yeah, keep up the good work.
Yeah, I want to hear umpire see more. Yeah.
Yes, so thank you so much, brother, for saying that. First of all, I would say that self-respecting women don't do that.
Okay.
That's the first thing. I have worked with these two gentlemen,
Which
and
two?
you too, in the past, and at no point in time they can say that I presented myself in that manner at all. I've known Stephen for years, and I've worked with Mr.
Why
Mitchell
you
as well.
expect Mr. Madison to say that on the video? He will not do that.
No, but she
No,
can
but
tell you,
I can-
I've always been a respectful.
I mean,
boss or-
perhaps outside of that, I don't know what his behavior is like, but I can say when I worked with him.
You notice his eyes? Do you ever notice his eyes back then?
But
You can't say that.
listen,
You
no,
can't
I
say
can
that.
tell you,
Okay,
I
okay,
never got that
From
from
Mr.
these
Madison.
men at all, and I worked with them directly.
Okay.
And part of it, as he said, is how people present themselves. Now, for younger women, we are in a culture where everybody wants to go on a yacht, right? And they see older men and they think, well, that is their ticket to get some type of whatever it is they're looking for. And because of that, sometimes they present themselves because it's a cash cow they're looking for. Just being honest. If you present yourself in a certain way, people are not going to approach you that way.
Hold on. Caller, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Yes.
This law is here, right? Sexual harassment. This is a very strange law that they don't put in it. Because in the inception, sexual harassment was only between somebody of power over a union. And that was so that they could get some benefit from giving a sexual favor.
Right.
And it was both across the board for men and women. Nowadays, because of the feminine misandry, sexual harassment has now been deemed anything the woman sees as inappropriate based on the man that does it. Let me give you an example. So, Harry, the average guy, says, morning sexy. You understand? You hear me?
Yeah.
That's true.
Hello?
Yes, we hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So, the average guy, Harry, says, morning sexy, and she will consider it sexual harassment. That's morning sexy, and it's
That's true.
Yeah.
and it's
Double
not sexual
standards.
harassment.
Yeah.
Double
So it is a
standards.
subjective issue
Yes.
based on the individual.
But caller, would you agree that sexual harassment is unwanted sexual advances towards the person to which the advancement is made?
But it only becomes harassment if it's perpetrated continually.
Right. So
And
if that person who is say morning sexy too,
Yeah.
right, indicate to you that they don't want it, right, and you don't do anything again, you ain't harass that person in no way. But if you continue,
That's right. That
then
makes it.
you could be considered as having harassed
All right.
the person.
Now that is harassment, but can you deem that sexual harassment? Because you haven't touched the person. It might be verbal harassment.
It might be abuse.
Abuse, yeah.
No, it's not abuse. It might be verbal harassment, but you cannot consider that abuse.
Well,
And you see, this is going to be a disaster because HR used to be the mediatory body between the worker and the management. In recent days, HR has become gods, and they now are the abusers of the workforce, or in some instances, the enforcement arm of the management. So now this is going to be a disaster because if the HR has a dispute with a particular individual and they get an accusation against that individual, he could go for.
Yeah.
And you see, because we don't look at it because it's overall, especially for men. Now, I was working in place and they slapped my box. I was stunned. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what to say. But in effect, that is sexual harassment because that is now assault. That's not just harassment, that's not sexual assault. Because just if I was to do that to a woman, I will get arrested. But if I make that report, I'll get insulted. Go ahead, man, boy, what do you want? You don't like that? But I'm married. So that's ridiculous for you to be doing that. But we don't care about the men. So that's why men don't say nothing because it's not that nobody will believe it. Nobody cares. And I'm seeing that this law is going to lead to a lot of additional abuse towards men. Because as I said, this new version of sexual harassment came out for the feminist misandry against men. And it's a dangerous thing to now add to the arsenal against men in modernity. You all have a right to.
I don't necessarily.
But you know, looking at that thing from Lot, all the speakers were female. I read it and I said, wait, I know male lawyers pronounce, and there's some senior counsels we have as male. They have an opinion on it.
Well, you see, it would be a difficult proposition for a man to speak on this.
No, we're talking law.
Listen,
Nobody,
no,
the
even
law association didn't do anything, you know. They just did a training.
that a webinar.
And it's not like they can't do anything.
No,
I mean,
No. Because they were talking about the law. No, they were talking about lawyers, you know.
Well,
They were not talking about other places. They were talking about in the among themselves as a professional body.
And women, lawyers, were speaking. Now, always remember, men and women see things from different sides and different angles. I would have liked to hear male lawyers say from a legal standpoint what are some of the lacunas that exist with this thing.
So could you imagine Beagle, who he wasn't fingered in anything.
Yeah.
And he might have been there talking, and then that happened.
Let's say the scholar. Caller, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you all?
We're okay, fine, thank you. Hope you're fine too.
Yes. All right. Teacher device. MONUI. I believe that if it's okay to cheat, why not have sex in marriage? If it doesn't, it is not okay to cheat. Why sexual harassment? If I suit you, why not sexual harassment? I mean, talking from experience, I think that there are women who already doing and telling us money. And I'm talking about the serious driver. The driver will be talking and telling things. But if I have the driver that might be telling her things, and she might even tell him things too. At the workplace, same way. Same way. If it suits you, if that person's blood take you, in a layman terms, that is not sexual harassment today. The same thing that Harry do, if Paul do that, he would get in trouble. Short and brief, directly to the point. Break it down, sir. Doctor, I'm listening.
No, but I mean, what everybody's saying is correct. That happens all the time. I mean, it's all about choice in the workplace or wherever. But what we should be concentrating on is to put policies to guide men and women as to how they operate and function in the workplace, so as not to to traverse the workplace so as not to fall prey or to so that they would understand what is abuse and understand what is abuse when it comes at them, right? And be able also to deal with it in a particular way, because nobody could take away what the UN or the ILO definition of what sexual harassment is. If you take me to court and you tell me that it was unwanted, you have to show how did you demonstrate that it was unwanted to me. So it had to be unwanted for starters. It had to be some kind of advancement I make that was unwanted by you, right?
And so demonstrated.
Now, if abuse is a different thing. I mean, if I touch you or touch you in an appropriate way, also, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to tell me that is unwanted. I had to be stupid to think that I could just do that. But I take it. I hear the gentleman and all the callers who said that some women will treat with some men differently because they like them or they don't like them, or they're not in the circle or whatever. But that's a right to do so.
I was just about to say that. People do have their rights.
Yeah, that's a right to do so.
People have rights.
Let's hear this caller. Caller, good afternoon.
Gentlemen, I want to share a joke with you all.
Yes.
Right? My father, many years ago, high-level public servant, he explained to me, if you have Joel, who is a handsome fella, and Sandra, who is a handsome woman, a nice-looking woman, he says, if Joel come to me and complain that Sandra is his supervisor, and she's saying to him, you know, Joel, you can come home by me on a weekend, help me paint and thing. I like you. I'll be nice to you if you want to go, you know, your university and thing. I'll organize for you to, you know, get time off and everything. You know, we can have a nice time together and things, work out things. He said, I'll fire Joel. Because look at Joel and look at Sandra. Sandra is a very nice woman. What man is going to come and complain about harassment? He said, but if it was the reverse, and Sandra come and complain, Joel is his supervisor, he go fire Joel. You get the point?
Joel can't win.
So, he can't win. Now, in the workplace, I had females come and pinch me on my nipples and things.
I experienced that too. I mean, I experienced that in school, I think, too.
Abuse.
And
And you're laughing at Mr.
I can't think about doing that.
Of course you can.
They come and pinch your nipples and say, look how nice you looking.
Unless she like you.
Understand?
But what give her that liberty to do that?
No, I experienced
Just because
I experienced them thing.
if she's a woman, that she can get away with it.
Do you feel did you felt
ridiculous.
abuse?
It might, because they're not hearing you.
No. I never felt abused or anything. Why would I feel abused?
I say the same thing. I mean, I agree.
You understand?
Mr. Matheson agrees with you,
So, I want to just broaden this, right?
yes.
Add this to the conversation today. Could a woman really rape a man?
I don't think so, you know. I don't think so.
Well, there we go.
If we're talking about penetration, I don't think so.
Well, there you go.
All right. Thanks, caller. Thanks.
And what, just now.
Go ahead.
Remember this, eh? A woman want one man for everything, and a man want every woman for one thing. You see how we different? Think about what we're talking about. So I know that.
I understand the position.
I understand what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the
It's just real, it's a culture thing. I mean,
It's a
they don't
culture
lock up
thing.
women for saying nice things to a woman.
Taman,
Taman.
yeah.
Or,
gosh,
you know, anything
this
like
caller
that.
has been trying. Good afternoon, caller.
Hey, good evening, the Empires. And good evening, Mr. Moya, Mr. Selvan, like you dip it and you dunk it whole weekend, I ain't see you.
That don't sound like radio language, you know.
Hey.
Dip it and dunk it.
What, once you stand up straight and don't lean on the wall, eh?
Yeah, you don't lean up on the wall and talk to no chick, please, in the workplace. But Mr. Moya, so this question is for you, right? So if I come in the workplace, and to the last caller, I will never come into a workplace and say, good morning, sexy. Never. I will never do that. Because that is not right. You know, because we are adults. But Mr. Moya, you look very radiant today, and I can see your glow. Is that sexual harassment?
Well, Napoleon Hill said in in this book, Think and Grow Rich, you could know if a woman gets certain things the night before, they just glow.
Mr. Matteson, I want to caution you.
So if you're saying that she's glowing,
You could be alluding to something happened the night before.
yeah, I mean,
I would want to caution you, gentlemen. I would want to caution you.
The buyer has issued a caution.
you get a red card.
So please, see the umpire. She will respond.
So in terms of that question, I am saying it's not. There's nothing wrong with offering a kind compliment. Good morning. I like that outfit this morning. Keep it at that. If what you're saying is true with the glow, what that means, then you can leave that out. You can leave it out.
But everybody might know that.
All right. So if I say this to you, Mr.
No,
Moya,
women.
Mr.
No,
Moya,
call.
Mr.
Go
Matteson, pull
ahead.
your mic closer.
Go ahead, caller.
You might be just looking radio.
So if I say, Mr. Moya, you remind me of an iPhone camera because every time I see you, I want to smile.
But I'm saying you can move on the side of caution. You can offer a kind compliment. Good morning. Nice outfit today, and keep it at that. When you start to personalize certain things, it can give, it comes across suggestive.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
All right.
If you don't like it, say you don't like it.
But before it reaches to the
look,
place where it doesn't like, I am saying there are certain things that you shouldn't say. You can give a kind compliment without being suggestive.
Sir, say good morning and go your way, please.
That's what I want to say. That's what I want to say.
Say good morning and go your way, please.
And go.
Yeah.
Keep walking.
Yeah.
Like Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
But then you know what's the funny thing? Now we in the work environment, but ladies have their personal account, Snapchat, Instagram. But when I look at your Instagram, I see you in some pretty tight outfits.
No,
Yeah, but that is
you
their
No
is their
imagination
prerogative.
needed.
They can dress as they feel outside of the workplace.
Yeah, but
but this-
come to work.
And this is no, but this is what I'm saying, right? So now when I see your Instagram profile and I see compliments from hundreds of guys, and I see you responding to it, now in my mind I'm thinking, well, hey, you see, women love validation.
Correct.
Let me put it full stop. Women love validation. You will put on a new outfit, you will come out, all the clothes matching, and you love that validation. That's what you look for. Because you don't want to dress to impress like you're going for dinner and don't expect validation. Men, on the other hand, we will go to the restaurant and watch the menu and don't order anything.
I understand what you're saying. I think within a professional context, you should still remain professional. The workplace for me is not the place to make certain statements. If you have a comfortable relationship with the person and it could say, take sauce, I'm not saying that that is the right thing, but people have that relationship, right? I am saying, but it happens. There are people who have those types of relationships that they could make those little jokes because it's piquant for our culture. But for me, I would stay away from those things, especially if you don't have that relationship with the person.
I think that's what the justice was talking about. Our culture.
It's
in terms of how we
difficult.
communicate
It's
with
difficult
pecan.
to get
There's a
around.
way of life. Pecan is a way of life. Eh? In our
And sometimes
culture.
what we call peacock, the other person takes offense to.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Because
They
you may call a
insult.
woman thick sauce, but for her, she has struggles with her weight, so she's not comfortable with that.
No,
You
but
see?
that's a compliment to someone.
But it may not be a compliment to
To our
her.
next one.
You understand? So
Yeah,
that's why
yeah.
it's difficult. It's depending on the relationship
She might
that
be
you have.
thick.
Yeah.
She probably don't want to be thick.
And she mightn't take it in a positive
Same
light.
way, yeah. Yeah.
And what Mr. Matheson was saying, I don't really feel like I put legislation to this. You know. This is a perception that adults in our workplace supposed to have a professional and not a thirsty mentality, as we say,
Correct.
to come in work to look for love. Because there's many websites you can look for love. Don't come in the workplace and look for love. There's instances when you could have after work lines, you know, when you go to Lime, hang out, and you could form a relationship, and then with knowing that you're working in the same environment, you will do codes the way how you float.
Well, caller,
Floating.
as another layer in the workplace, right? Outside of what the ILO convention might have told you, or what the laws might tell you, as another layer in the workplace, you have your law, your company law, your policies, and your policies. Right. If every employer would consider having policies with guidelines, and a lot of employers have done some already for employers with sexual harassment policies, and it outlines what you should and what you should not do.
Yeah.
Now, most of the time when you go to court and that kind of thing in our labor court here, when you accuse a worker of something, you have to show that thing you accuse that worker of is outlined in some way or form in your policy.
Right.
And therefore, once that is present, then you have local standing to take certain kind of action against the employee. So the best solution to most of these issues that we're talking about here is policies, and the law association will talk about that in the training session. Policies, have the kind of policies that guide workers so that workers do not end up overstepping their privileges and their position with one another in workplace.
Correct.
Right? So if you have it in your policy and you breach the policy with another worker and the worker didn't say anything, well then you get away. But if you have it in your policy and you breach the policy with a worker, and that worker feels aggrieved by it, then you might have some questions to answer in the workplace, not just in the workplace, but in the court also.
All right, but the last thing before I leave, right? In Trinidad, do they allow video footage and audio?
It depends.
In court?
It depends.
It depends.
It depends on how it is entered as evidence.
I'll look on listening. I will listen off here. Thank you very much.
But you see, the conundrum in that is that, according to you, you don't want a stoic workplace and work environment. That might not be healthy for productivity. But a certain level of fraternization, fraternizing on the workplace and could become an issue as well.
That's right.
Because you don't want to be known as the company where in turns
anything is anything.
Yeah, and that's that maybe was much the more telling video. If I understand the context now of what we were talking about, the video posted by the young former attorney who made certain suggestions that this is not only happening, it's prevalent.
Yeah.
And she was even explaining that for some of a particular ethnic persuasion, it is a rites of passage. She made the differentiation between her ethnicity and others and said for us, it come like that what we had to do. That is very damning.
Of course.
Whether you deal with it, whether you find a regulation or you don't find a law, that is a very, very, and with sexual things, it is not innocent till proven guilty, it is guilty till proven innocent.
That's right.
That's how sexual thing goes. So it's a very, very serious thing, whether we want to treat it serious or not. And you only have to know and look around the world and you see what has happened to these mighty men, these wealthy men.
Correct.
Whether they
Correct.
were vindicated or not, those things
Do leave you.
they don't leave you.
A man commit suicide, and a big man commit suicide.
Correct.
in prison
Yeah.
for that, you know.
They don't leave you.
Serious.
And
Extreme.
every day you look at the Epstein files, more and more names jumping out.
There's only Trump who work here.
Yeah, but more and more names jumping out, and everybody has a story, and especially when you think about, well, we're going outside the workplace now, a village, a little village. You hear about taboo and who they do what and what they do who, and who went by who for lessons, and we've had a recent case with a position of trust, with a position of trust, and that particular issue. I felt really bad because I love the gentleman's drive.
Really? You love,
Yeah.
you love your drive?
Yes, I love this drive in
You sound
terms
like
of
Selvon.
children and the protection of children, and I love his advocacy. You know what I mean?
Or is that advocacy?
Yeah, but you
Not
know,
necessarily his drive.
your habits and your advocacy, these things, you know, often sometimes can contradict, and you lose all your credibility.
That's correct.
And that's very, very
That's
hard, and you can't, that's not easy repairable.
So then the major question is really and truly, if this thing is prevalent within the legal fraternity in terms of chambers and so forth, then what I go back to Martin's point, then they really do have no workplace policy relative to sexual harassment and conduct in the workplace and so forth. That you tell that basically that is what coming out here.
What exists is ethics, code of ethics. But those things are difficult to pin on people. How do you implement a code?
And ethics sometimes is a subjective and elusive thing.
Correct.
Place, you know?
Correct. And who is doing the application of it?
Yeah.
You have an ethics committee. And who on the ethics committee? How is get on the ethics committee? You know, all these things are very difficult, and we will not return to this in the next hour. We'll treat with something else. But I was reading an article that talk about it from a health and safety perspective.
Yeah.
The employer has a duty to provide a,
Safe working
Under
environment.
Section 6 of the Occupational Health and Safety
and
Act.
that health includes mental health.
Yeah.
And if you are constantly at fear on your job for loss because of pressure, inadvertent pressure too. You know, that's why the criminal offense has to do with grooming, you know, sexual grooming, because that too takes place in the workplace. You think it's favor, you think you're getting through. But the boss picking me, boy.
Yeah.
Boss only picking me, I get to go.
It's groom you again, groom?
Yeah. You going on all the course. The course happening every year. You going every year. Nobody is in the department going on this course. So have nobody else to train. Nobody else going meeting.
You feeling special.
You feeling special.
But
But we
special?
could all we who enter IR and HR could tell you that workers are not always very innocent. Some workers are very calculated in the
That's
job.
correct.
You know.
They're
They don't
willing.
like that.
They're willing.
You see, boss
That's
Selvon,
correct.
I could get through there. He looked like he like
If they know
Heineken.
that there's a door open, they're gonna go through that door.
Selvon, what you doing after work, boss? If you go for a little, oh good, the boss liming with me today.
You just lying?
You just lying, boss?
Nah, man.
And they start to soften you up. And work you. Because somebody already has
Plant that
seen 3
seed.
steps down the road. And
That's correct.
it is said that women are slow in that regard. When our counterpart don't see 3 steps up, she don't see GM. You the manager,
laughing.
the supervisor, and she don't see GM.
I don't think men. I don't think men slow. I think men just know exactly what's going on.
All right.
Okay.
But
They play along.
Working in your favor, so you go along with it. I mean, you play. The better thing to do is to play innocent.
Well, the problem is that it only takes somebody else to report it. So you could be playing along for all you care. something
you don't get what you
changes.
want.
The husband see, listen,
Yeah.
the husband see the text,
Yep.
or the
Why you
boyfriend see
calling
the
that
text.
hour?
Suddenly you're a
Nights.
victim.
All of a sudden it's
You are a
harassment.
victim, yeah.
And listen to me, darling. If you don't deal with that harassment, either I go meet you outside at work, or I leave it.
Yeah.
So somebody who might have been very amicable with you and joke, it's a little joke he making. After one discussion that night,
Cool.
if it's an abusive relationship, we say after somebody back, come in tomorrow with a different story of something that has been happening quite cordially for months.
Yeah.
And all the texts on the phone. Because, you know, you didn't think it was anything. According to guys, you're getting current.
I think a call come in.
Yeah, let's hear. Good afternoon, caller.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, to the umpires.
Yes.
And to the lady in the background. I don't know if I'm just using VR as a definition.
Yes.
She's the VR umpire.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Yes.
afternoon.
I would just say quickly that on the topic you are speaking of, I would say that problem is all about, I would say, indiscipline.
Right.
Here why I'll say that. I'll be as quick as possible.
Okay.
My wife and I met 25 years ago. We met in a restaurant, right? The owners of the restaurant, they never tolerated relationships on a job. I work evening, she worked morning shift. And we are still together to this day. What I'm saying is that, and they told me, they say, you are the first couple that ever got away with that. Because what happened to this day, I will go in the grocery with my wife. Don't patter on her butter. She said, in the grocery and public guys, not for that. So to me, this free will movement that we have, I'm not bashing no one. We must understand about order. There's time and place for everything, and that goes for the work, and that goes across the board.
Okay.
I can't be in front of my children. Even though my three children, our three children are big. When I say big, 33 to 22 and 28. But that doesn't mean we are the parent and we have to conduct ourselves in a certain manner. And I believe that goes across the board in everything. So I just take it from my experience. Because we work together. We are working, besides we work in another place. And she have always said, you are here, not because you are my husband, I can do you as you feel. We are workers within our 8 hours. Co-workers, sorry. So I think there's a certain level of indiscipline when it comes to the things we do. And that has led now towards the how I put it, as I say, the sexual harassment. Because we feel we can speak and we can do as we please, man or woman.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
that is just my little simple
Thanks for your contribution.
That's a good perspective.
That's a good-
Excellent.
Very good.
Excellent.
Because that's real. I mean, this is what happens with people. People just have to understand that you can't disrespect somebody.
Correct.
If you doing something, if you like a woman, and you will know eventually that
If
that
she's
person
interested
like you
or
do.
not, exactly.
And you will know what to
But
do as a
take
man.
that
You have to be a
outside.
sensible person outside, but
That's correct.
you come in and interfere with people, and you know they like it, and you gone.
So we coming up to drinks break. So callers will be back after the break, but we will not be talking about any more harassment
Yeah.
For-
We
for-
don't- we
for
don't
the-
want people to feel
for the evening. We need to digress and give umpire Mitchell a break and stop making him laugh and reminisce about his time as a victim. We don't want to go down that road.
He tell my time a woman tell me foot big. She like your foot. You have big foot. You are size 13.
So we're going to come back after the drinks break.
Oh, God.
Stay tuned.
Carry.
Okay, and in the last hour, we're just going to get into a discussion on something we discussed before. We spent considerable time here analyzing the whole URP issue. In the public domain at the moment, there's this spat, tete-a-tete we will call it, going on with the present minister, the line minister, and the former minister.
Responsible for?
URP.
Okay.
Good. We're learning about what happened in 2010 and how much money was spent and how much gangs it have. I didn't have 5 in my time, it had 4. It had 3 when I look at it, you had 6. And this, that, and we just keep going back and forth about the ills. So what is evident is that this, to use a better word, for want of a better word, is cancerous. Right? But we reached a point where we have to consider surgery. Mr. Matheson will say it's time to bell the cat.
Yeah.
And in belling the cat, we would need to deal with solutions. Who is going to do it? What is the best approach to do it? What will be the fallout? Because it will have a fallout. I was talking to someone quite casually and they were saying maybe anybody going for that job should come with a police certificate of character. Now, I don't want to give the police and them too much work in that domain, but I know certain people wouldn't be able to get it. Now, there are other issues with that being done efficiently, because I always hear people complain about getting this police certificate of character. People feel this is a 24-hour thing and just go down there and go down there. But if you've ever been through this process, and I think it has improved now. It's digital now. I think it's online
you can apply
now.
online, but you still have to go on the day, do your finger thing, and still wait a while. Sometimes weeks to get
So
certificate.
so we really have to. This evening we want to not get into the paying competition with who had more ghost gang, who had more criminal, and them criminal it start on their you, then they pass to me, and then they stay. And we don't want to get into much of that has been already discussed. We want to get into how is this reform, what it's going to look like, Mr. Mitchell or Mr. Matheson, what it is going to look like, and why do we have these things about jobs? Why we can't call it as it is, or is there the HR competence within the organization?
Okay, let me say something. I have a good understanding of URP, and I think Mr. Mitchell do also. But the first thing one has to ask is what really is the remit of URP, and what is the remit of the Ministry of Local Government and the corporations? What is the remit of CPEP, and what is the remit of all the other Ministry of Agriculture, all the other little works and drainage, and all the other parts of government that seems to converge in terms of having more or less the same remit? And what is the need for all of that? When you look at what's happening, it's still again nothing. So all them programs to me, to a lot of people, looks like make work program to fund voter bank. So those are the questions they had to ask first, because if you really want to create real work, real productivity for people, maybe you might be able to do that by trimming all them programs. I don't know, I'm just saying, but maybe Selvon could tell you. Selvon could answer that question. But one, you see, any member of John Public could call in and ask them questions I asking, because he or she may not understand it anyway, or no. So, and they will be very valid questions. They'll be very valid questions. CPEP and URP, do they do the same thing? Right? What's the purpose of spending $400 or $500 million every year on URP when you're spending the same thing on CPEP and URP not doing what you think they should be doing? I don't know. But cell phone
Well,
maybe you can
just
set up-
before Mr. Mitchell, because I want him to comment in this context, and I read by senior investigative journalists, more than 5.6 billion and counting. That is how much Trinidad and Tobago has spent on URP between 2010 and 2024. Over the past 15 years, the URP has been a constant fixture in the country's public spending, costing taxpayers billions while attempting to provide short-term employment to thousands. During the People's Partnership Administration 2011 to 2015, the program's expenditure totaled approximately 2.6 billion, an annual average of 512 million. In contrast, between 2016 and 2024, under Dr. Keith Rowley's PNM, URP's total spend was about 2.3 billion, averaging 257.8 million annually. The single highest year of expenditure was 2015, when 717 million was spent, 25% more than the second highest total in 2014. At the opposite end of the spectrum, the lowest spend came in 2021, at the height of the global COVID pandemic, about 218
20 or so.
Yes, about 218 million. Between 2010 and 2024, 2010 was 441 million, and etc. They have all the breakdowns over the years. According to the budget documents, 19,788 people received benefits from the program between October 2023 and 2024. 66% of them were female. So we have a gender issue here in this whole URP thing.
When you say a gender issue,
We have a gender issue, meaning we have a gender standout. It means that it caters and it is dominated by women in terms of employment. And that should tell us something. It has to tell us something on the social side.
but you don't need to read much more.
No.
Because we understand it. The thing is, the question is it a make work program, or is it contributing somewhat to the productivity of Trinidad and Tobago? That's the question somebody had asked. Because if it's so much women, where them women working, what are they doing? What are they doing for Trinidad and Tobago? You just see them, you see URP outside on the road anyway, in any way?
According to D'Souza's study, between 2015 and 2024, no URP workers were offered formal training, as reported in the internal training report. After completing their URP service, most of the participants went on to do similar jobs: cleaning, sanitation, janitorial work, road work, and street maintenance.
When you say similar work, they was doing that in URP?
No, they complained that the URP work.
Nobody was doing that in URP. They was cleaning and doing janitorial work when they was working URP?
Well,
boy, listen, from what I know,
yeah,
most of them be home and collecting a pay. Most of them the core URP people who you have on job sites and that kind of thing. I don't know if it changed, but I mean, to me, all them things, those are voter banks, and in some way, you know, it's plenty corruption.
Persons perceive that politics highly influence the URP and get to work on the program depending on which political party is in government. Persons recall that when government administrations change, they stop getting work in the program. This is live reports, like they had an interview with workers. Mr. Mitchell.
They stop getting pay. They stop getting pay. They stop bringing home you're giving the not the checker, the coordinator or whoever, your ID card and your bank account, your bank card, and getting part of the money you was allocated
tax
for your
tax.
Mr. Mitchell,
tax and all that kind of thing. I mean,
there's a hole in the bucket. Can it be fixed? Guide us. We know all the problems. Do we want to fix it, Mr. Mitchell? Do we want to fix it?
No. I mean, Martinson was there during our time in local government. I listened to the conundrum.
Yes.
That is going on there. I don't know how it reached to where it's at.
Okay.
It says that the executive, to a large extent, have to take blame for this.
Yes.
Why I say that? I'll tell you why I say that. During my time in local government, before funding can be allocated, there must be, let me call it this way, people say a cabinet note, I used to call it a whole business plan.
Right.
In terms of how much money I want, what I want to do with it, what it has to achieve at the end of the day, and so forth. Yes?
Yeah.
How much construction, how much material, how much vehicles. Everything was itemized like a proper business plan. Before it go to planning and finance for funding for the program. I didn't just say, give me $20 and I get $20. A whole business plan in terms of every item of expenditure. I know I laughed when I saw MTS on the TV thing. MTS was one of my expenditures. We were owing MTS a lot of money. But one of the line items in my request was down to MTS security was a line item. So I had to list out every line item of expenditure in my request. So, and then cabinet would approve this. And then they hold you now accountable by, at the end of the year, I used to do what I call an administrative report back to the cabinet in terms of what I've achieved relative to the expenditure that I requested. So I also run it as a business. Yeah?
You remember seeing any ghosts?
No.
Okay.
And we had...
Selvon, you didn't know that ghost?
No. You see... Well, you don't see ghosts, I'm going to
well, exactly. I want you to know.
So, no, basically, no.
Prior to 2010 and 2009 and them gang leaders will get killed.
What we had, what we had then,
yes,
is we had work crews all over.
Right.
But if on visit, and the work crew have to give an address of the work crew. Every work crew had an address. Tom Street, Harry Street. If the visit, and every Wednesday there was a visit to location, random visit. If we go on Tom Street and we don't see no work crew, we cancel that.
Them things still happen?
No. I talking 20 years ago. I don't know what has happened now. I don't know what's happened now, but we run it in a way to give measure. Watch out, we were responsible for the people's money.
Right.
A construction crew had projects designed for 60 feet construction project to fit within the capacity of the persons we had employed to do construction. There's the foreman, there are some workers who were learning middle masonry and bending steel and so forth, but they are measurable work. So when you see the sign outside there, URP, it was then government demonstrating to the population that we have none to hide. That's why the sign came out, you know. We wanted the population to know that, hey, look, we here. We not hiding. We not going undercover. Look, we sign here, measure what we're doing on a daily basis, because we were proud that we were spending the public money in a responsible way. You understand? And we demonstrated that. So we apply for funds against certain projects. We want to do 200 projects. This area we want to do 200 projects. What kind of projects we're going to do? What is the cost of the material? What is the cost of the labor? All that was laid out. So I don't know what happened after I left.
But what because I remember under you, what you had was the advent of a department called personal development. Right?
Yep.
And so they were like HR people in each one of the regions, and they would now try to wean those persons off the program.
Brilliant.
So those persons who would have come in for unemployment relief, that department would eventually find jobs for them, train them, and try to wean them out of the program. Because at the end of the day, the program was always about make work, not make work, but it was always about unemployment relief. People who are unemployed,
temporary.
We give you some kind of temporary employment for a short while. We train you, we bring you up to speed, we line you up with employers or whoever, and we wean you off the program. But that somewhat has changed over the years, I am sure. Because I don't really see nobody on the road, URP, I see CPR people.
Was there ever a mass meeting of workers?
Where?
Under the program. Did you all ever say, okay, you all employing people, all paying people? How you pay people you don't ever see?
No. Listen, this is why I said.
They have a degree of politics to the whole thing
okay.
And
No, I'll tell you, he said that, but You see, I come from a different place. I remember two things I did significant.
Right.
One, we wrote a cabinet to say no one 25 years and younger could come in this program. Why? Because we had CCP, we had YTEP, go there.
Opportunities. Correct.
65 years and over, go and get a pension, don't come here.
Right.
Cabinet approved that.
Right.
Yeah? So we were very, very clear on who could come in the program. And then the personal development, and they now find jobs for you. We'd have vacancies. I remember a number of organizations came and we tried to push you into permanent employment, as the case may be. Yeah?
And then you had eventually it had an agriculture.
We had an agriculture element of it now.
That fellow named Joseph John.
Joseph John. Wow. And we started the agriculture.
Sheep and goat and nice planting of the
right in Castlefield there.
Operation in Castlefield. And so you had a next section of URP then doing that, and all that could have been germinating the leaders, not just the exit, but persons who want to venture into agriculture, trading and that kind of thing. But I don't know, the program has changed over the years.
So we had a vision, and my watchword was to make ourselves unemployed. How can we push as much people out of this thing as fast as possible so we will have a job? We had I spoke about it here once, where we had 900 workers actually went for computer certification training. 900 we paid to go and be computer literate and so forth. So there was this whole thing of development and move on out of the program. But who are there? We did measurable work. Most important, with those who were there with the public money is the public money.
And I'm glad you're giving such detail, because one would feel very often that the ghost and all the little rivalry dominates the program, and I don't agree that it dominates. Maybe it's a part of it.
Back then,
the broad philosophy, it doesn't dominate that. But listen, those things were always there, and I suspect continue to be there, because it have a certain kind of strong arm with politicians when they want to feed certain people, right, to keep them quiet or to get them to do certain things. They send them in URP and they get ghost gangs.
But apart from that,
and all that kind of thing.
Apart from that, Mr. Matheson, it's quite practical. And I would say to you, Mr. Mitchell, it's quite practical, because this sounds like space work to me. You telling me that you're funding a project in the Valley Road. You never even been to the Valley Road.
No, I'll go.
You go. Okay, so here's what's going on in the Valley Road.
Let me tell.
Listen.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's what's going on in the Valley Road. Tell me we on the project in the Valley Road. But that project in the Valley Road cannot happen, given current culture and even past culture, without certain individuals or influences allowing it to happen. There's no security. There's not. We used to talk about security of tenure in industrial relations. This is security of life. Good, because for that project to continue, those workers who sometimes might be from the same community have to come out there and work. And there are individuals that exist.
Work, you see?
Well, let's say work on.
Well, I want to answer you, because we did work in every single community in Trinidad, and the persons who lived there got the work done. I remember this video I did on television where this guy chained and all kind of thing, and he did a basketball court through the program. He tell them, he say what? Ghost Dobel basketball court. No, this is the work we do.
Yeah, but you're not answering the question. The work is completed,
It's completed,
But at what cost?
No. Every job that we did within budget, brother.
Okay.
Within budget.
So
because
the
people and the
ghosting is an allegation.
No, I'm not saying the ghosting is an allegation. Where we found ghosts, we addressed it.
Okay.
They will always miscreant.
So you all had Ghostbusters to deal with that.
No, let me tell you something. One thing, during our time, we actually go out and visit work crew. We go the office. This is one air conditioned job.
There was our next department called the Project Evaluation Department.
You go out and you visit.
Because Mr. Mitchell.
But some of them eventually...
You know what we had? Yes, sir.
Was on the radio and
yes, sir. You know what we did for the cabinet, too? All the project to justify that we were spending money, the public money responsibly. Every single project we did in Trinidad, we had pictures of it that we sent to the cabinet to demonstrate how responsible we was in spending your money. And so forth.
And again, Mr. Mitchell, I would want to generalize, but I would want to remind you that murder and other types of criminal activities associated with URP has been well documented in this country. That is not fiction.
During my 5 years, I have no record of that.
So during your 5 years as Minister of National Security, that did not.
No, Minister of National Security. No, I understand. First, you have to understand what caused what, you know.
Yeah.
And during my time, there were people who were considered, you know, perpetrators of that which is illegal. But I never had an issue with them because it was fair play. I said, yes, you can get opportunity, but you have to deliver to the public. And people willing to deliver.
Well, when you hear somebody grumblings on the ground...
I don't know what's going on 20 years after.
When you hear somebody grumbling,
let me tell you what has caused that.
It's not that they won't get a job.
No, let me tell you what has caused that.
Don't forget the tax.
No,
you will get a little work, but don't forget the tax that you part.
I never experienced. Let me tell you what has caused that. Let me tell you what has caused them rivalry. You put some work crew here, and you put none by them. So them seeing them fellas getting work and all kind of thing happening, and we are getting no work.
Okay.
You have to distribute the work, make sure everybody working.
Okay.
And say, look, you could get, you know, look, them doing work, you have work to do. I know fellas who would come really and truly. And I would tell them, go and identify some footpath, some bridge, some retaining wall to build, or they'll get work to do it.
Okay.
And they actually go and identify. We send an engineering assistant up, they do estimate.
So who identifies the work?
Like the community, people in the community.
Okay.
And they build the work for the community.
Okay.
So it's a level of responsibility to your community and so forth. Them just need the support.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I mean, you have to understand, I work under Patrick Manning, and he had a particular way in accounting for the people's money. He always tell you that. You had to account for the people's money.
Well, what about competence? Fiverr, we decide that we need to build a wall, and then we just build a wall.
No, you have the engineering assistants a guide, and this is the training element. In the program, we have capacity in the administrative side of it to guide. We do the estimates for you all and so forth. We do the bill of quantities. We list the material. We do the procurement for you, and we guide you in how to build the box rate and so forth. So it's the learning and handover element of it.
Right.
It worked well. I don't know what happened after Martinson and I would have departed and so forth, but we had a vision in how we can transform people who were in a challenging situation. It was really transformation. The bank card was one. You was there too. I launched the bank card, was under me, that the card with it. And that happened, interestingly enough, the bank card came about to some extent. I was going to, now don't have a guy, man, so I had a bus route pass. Say something now.
No.
You was on the
I wanted to call Mattison's name. And that's why I waited to hear you to call Mattison's name. But he clearly
And Mount Hope there, with the URP offices.
Yeah.
All these people waiting for this check. Rain falling and people fighting up for this little $300 and so forth. It was the most inhumane thing I've seen.
I totally agree.
And I went to the minister and said, what are we doing, poor people? They done money done small and all let us in the rain line up and jump over on there like animal for this Mickey Mouse check and so forth. Let's create that, and this whole thing born out of that, and we say, all right, FCB jump in the fray and so forth.
You say something then it disturbed me. I'm going to just take a right turn here.
Yeah.
What about us and that we can't understand in terms of how we treat the public? You go on the port, it ain't no way to sit down. Matter of fact, they're doing my parking.
Only the way you come.
You've ever bought a boat ticket in Tobago?
To Tobago?
From Tobago coming down.
No.
You see what they have to go through? What about us and that's kind of behavior? I went to the bank today just to do a transaction, and I was so happy. You know why? It had seats in Scotiabank Independence Square. It wasn't always there. Can I remember the S line that used to curl? I went to FCB. They didn't have enough seats. Maybe things short. Maybe things tight. Maybe. But what about us that we don't cater for that? That you have to clamor for bathrooms or public.
This is why.
And you have to. What about us?
We talk. You hear me always talk about leadership and management.
Yeah.
Management is about empathy. It's about caring for the people in your charge, you know. And I feel my responsibility was taking care of all those people in my charge.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes, yes.
And look after their best interest. It wasn't my interest. Few people knew who I was, knew my name and so forth. It wasn't about me. It was about me taking care of people.
Yes.
That was that they put me there to do, take care of people. So we look all these systems, how could we take care of these people?
But something has gone wrong. Is it redeemable?
Of course, with proper management, everything is redeemable.
You say proper
You
management.
started off this segment by talking about the spat between
Yes.
the last the
Present and
The bowling team and the batting team.
bowling team and the batting team.
Yeah.
And clearly the spat was about who spent more money or who more
Who didn't
corrupt
deliver.
and
Yeah.
whatever. But you know, to me that was always in URP. That was always in URP. But it get kind of institutionalized over the years.
Yeah.
And so much so that all the things Selvon was talking about and what I experienced, I don't think them thing happen again, boy.
Yeah. Well, we are at the junction where, and we're going to open up the phone lines just now, just in about 5 minutes. Is it redeemable? Is this cancer too much? Is it no? We have to be fair because sometimes you know cancer operates. You cut more, sometimes it spread. With the CPAP, you realize they put that on life support for a while. They say, we're fixing it. That's what they say. It will take us some months, but we're going to fix it. I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't know what happens in the interim. But the determination has been, the conclusion has been, it can't go on like this anymore. The cat. They say they belly the cat.
Is it the dependency on the program? Because what Mr. Mitchell described is getting them off through a process.
Through a process.
What happens here?
Yeah.
Is it that people are expecting, well, you know, my party in power, I go get a little couple contracts. Where's the progress from there?
Well, that...
No, not a couple contract, a couple ghosts.
Well...
yeah. Is that different language in URP?
I caution you.
Is that different language in URP? He's quite correct.
My party in power, you get a couple ghosts. That's what people think.
Yeah.
That's correct.
But we have to move away from that.
Yeah.
We have to move away from that kind of thing.
This level of
Because that creating crime and all kind of
Because what you talk about there in terms
I
of...
would agree with the government.
Yeah.
If they restructuring all them things, CPAP, URP, all them things,
Yeah.
I will agree with them. I waiting to see when budget how they're going to approach all those quasi institutions.
Because
So that
what
is important.
the developmental side is the exit side.
Yeah.
But we also have a problem with the entry side.
Yeah.
Whereas it seems to have morphed into anyhow, any hue, any day, anytime,
Brilliant.
anywhere.
And that's where the problem starts.
The entry,
If
the
you start bad, you
recruitment.
will end bad.
End bad.
Yeah.
The recruitment.
Yeah.
Is it that we need to have stricter measures? I don't know how strict you could get with a certain demographic,
Yeah.
but it surely can't be come one, come all.
I remember there was a time, Marty, that I put my foot down and you see, effective management come from when you believe that you took the job to do that which is right and not because it was party patrimony. I hear because the minister put me here, so I just going along.
Right.
And I remember once, I can't remember if he did a note on it or what, that a minister or MP, you know, in the past, they send somebody to work in the program, in the administration, they send somebody. And I said, no. I say, can recommend, but it's our role to employ.
Yes.
Before, well, the minister sent me, I say, yeah, you can send you, but it's me. Well, I go back tell you, well, you go and tell him. Because, see, I wasn't afraid of, well, okay, what you do?
You weren't pressure like...
I didn't care about pressure. I come to do what you don't like it.
We had a CEO who was pressured, eh?
Yeah, well, you don't like it, well, I go my way.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
We are loggerheads. So a lot of times, well, the minister send me, and people like to use the word the minister or the MP send me. I say, yeah, you can send you, but we have guidelines in how we employ persons within the organization as the case may be. There are standards we want to set, because to deliver effectively, you had to have people capacity to so deliver.
That's correct.
Now, because he send you, I just take you and we go down the road with you as the case may be. So I don't know where it went off track. I don't know, and I give cabinet the blame if it go off track, because the funding for it must come with some level of rubric in terms of what you go and do with this money.
Correct.
And I want reports on how that money is being spent. So if that money was spent and there's nothing to measure, then I give cabinet, as Matthew always say, there must be some responsibility them fellas in our cabinet had to take. And this is one time I would blame the cabinet for the misuse and abuse of the people's fund in these organizations. If it's one time.
Especially when it comes to welfare.
Yeah.
There has been a growing concern, if you look at world events with welfare in England, in Britain, and in America. There has been well, they say Mr. Musk take away all the welfare money and all the aid money and all that. But when you look and when you hear questions,
what they were spending the money on,
when they were spending the money
exactly.
on, I mean, without knowing some of the intricacies, some of these things were crazy.
Yeah.
Some of these things were crazy, and it was money spent all over the world.
Yep.
Now, if it is we talk about US aid, for instance.
Yeah.
Now, if this is private money, do what you please.
Yeah.
But the discussion here is public funds.
The public funds. You must account.
So it is not that the government or doesn't have a responsibility to help the disenfranchised and help poor people. But depending on what you do, poor people will remain poor.
Yeah. Every society have them.
Depending on how you do.
Yeah.
They will remain poor, and that is not the goal, according to what you're saying. Now, you can't be, well, you shouldn't be a millionaire over the program. You know? You shouldn't.
Should be able to eat our food.
But you should at least be able to leave.
Yeah.
But somehow they ain't leaving. This don't have no exit door. It don't have an exit door.
Thank you.
It don't have an exit door. And I would want to know who manages the exit door. Who manages? Wait now. You are career URB worker like 20 years? Really?
URB workers.
Yeah.
The administrative people.
Yeah, well, not talking about those. I'm talking about those on the field. I'm talking about those out on the projects and how these things are managed. And I could imagine the amount of HR issues that a project of that magnitude will have. Because that's a lot of money. That's a lot of, the money's in the billions now.
Yeah.
So we want to find out, we're going to the pavilion, URP. We're not discussing what went on and what used to happen. Is it redeemable?
The way forward.
The way forward. Is it redeemable? The unemployment relief program. Can it be redeemed? Caller, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to the panel there, right? Now, here what I want to say in relation to that whole CPEP operation system. Now, I don't know how long they're going to take before they come to a resolution in relation to that, but I am saying is simply this. You see this thing where they say one man have kind of 5 and 6 contracts? Do away with it. Because let me explain to you how it is the corruption does run with that concern. A man put forward, let me say, a team that will collaborate one contract. Now you can say you could account, let me say, if you have 10 men on a gang, you could account for them 10 men.
Right.
Now, out of 5, there's where the ghost gang could come in. You understand? Because you wouldn't have a record of all these different people. Because let me say, for instance, you wouldn't let me say to know the faces of all these different people. Now, as I say, you can have an account for the 10. Now, that 10 is equivalent for 1. But for the other 5, you can't account for them. So there's where the whole back and starts. So I am saying, and okay, now you have 6 gangs and that is in different parts of the country, right? I am saying if one man controlling a gang, let it be one, and you will know all the people that is on that gang, right? One person shouldn't be getting 5 and 6. So I find they should really do something about that is concerned. And secondly, if it is you shut the operation now, let me say you may have information that there is corruption running in that. I mean, things that take time, you can't really get to the resolution so quick. But I mean to say, try and speed up the process and do what is all you have to do to them. If there is people who do anything wrong, I mean, charge where you have to charge, seize assets from where you have to seize assets from, and speed up the process and try and get things done and get the people back working so we already know that things really happen. Because at the end of the day, the longer you take to bring a resolution to this, right? I mean to say people on the breadline and you're going to give people on the other side things to talk about.
Yes.
Okay, as I was saying, and they're going to say that yes, because right now, here what the talk is right now out there. The talk is school opening back just now, people have their educational stuff to ban all these different things, and you put people on the breadline for spite. That is the total people talking out, you know, that is not really the case.
You're
people,
correct.
And no, because I said, this is what happening, you know. People out there petty, and they're going to use a simple thing like that, you know, that's a blast the government. I am saying that I don't believe that Ms. Kamala is being spiteful to anybody. They are saying that there is corruption on anything and they want to make sure they're stamping out that. I give them kudos for that. But I am saying that. You're saying something, Mason?
No, go ahead. You're fair. It's fair. Good statement.
But what I am saying is try and not to take too long to bring a resolution with that is concerned. Do what it is you have to do, as I say.
So it must be timely.
Yeah, who are right to do anything wrong, charge who you have to charge, seize assets from who you have to seize assets from, and try and do prolong this thing for too long to give these people and them on the other side nothing to talk about. And as I say again, when it comes into the one person getting 5 and 6 contract, this is where the ghost gang thing could run. Cut that out. That as a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
You know that caller alluding to something like saying.
Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good evening. I'll check the time. Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
I find it is redeemable.
Right.
If I am glad how this administration is doing, like revamping. You have to break it down to build it. Well, not break it down.
Yes.
You have to go in and change it. Yes. I like what Sheldon says. And he say, I don't know what's going on now. Why couldn't it be a continuation of what Sheldon, I think it's Mr.
Salvon.
I think it's Sheldon, right? Salvon.
Yes.
How he managed, you can't tell me that he could do just like what he did. And he and his, not he alone, but he and his group or his people manage that same thing. And now, if they do it over and bring what Mr. Salvan said, you have to have leaders. You have to have the people thinking forward, thinking people like Mr. Salvan. Why can't it be redeemable? Who are you dealing with? Sheep and cow? Huh. Now remember, the poor will always be with us, as the Bible says, or biblically people say that. The poor will always be. I have no thing about that. Right? Because that is scripted. And that is what it is a matter of fact. But I like what it is redeemable if we follow. Like it come like if Mr. Salvan still is at work.
Yes.
Whatever he did, the infrastructure that is going to come on now, not the old. I'm not saying pick up the same people, under the same. But not that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying going back to 7 days. Yes. Why stop? Why just didn't continue to today? Like how you say, I don't know if it continue, or I don't know if it's so, or whatever. So it will take a lot of work and a lot of time.
Thank you.
It's redeemable.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Hey guys, great topic. I'll keep my contribution brief here to answer your question straight. I would say absolutely yes, it is redeemable. As a sector, as a factor of the country's economy and society, it is redeemable. All sectors redeemable. What would inhibit it is the major C word we have heard throughout our country for years: corruption. In my humble opinion, not a professional, um, uh, and the little knowledge of economics I had, programs like URP or CRP or social relief, social assistance programs, those are, let's say, if you design a program for a computer and later on you realize there may be some bugs or some kinks, or not necessarily any bugs, just in real usage of the program, you now realize there may have been some areas that you didn't consider or under considered. One gentleman was saying, the entry, and as I think, that's in the early development stages of an economy or industry, you have a program to assist with that, or a transitional period.
Right.
Let's say some countries, I think in England, when the steel industry had kind of closed down and transitioned to assist, or back in when we had Karen in 1965.
Yes.
You know how you kind of, assist with the, transition period. But if we have persons coming out of school underqualified or have not applied themselves or whatnot, then these programs will be necessary. But then if we have a recurrent cycle, then these programs will be continuing on and on and on.
Okay.
And then,
all right,
they end up being a burden on society. Yeah, great topic.
Thanks, caller. So call us on 342-0081-4665-391. I had to tell Rose sorry before I go ahead because I want to go home safe tonight, right? So, Rose, you're listening, I apologize. Okay? Good afternoon, caller. Have a good evening.
One advice I will give to the government, right, when it comes to that whole state appropriation thing, when they start that, right, you must know the people who are employed under the state.
Correct.
You must know the people who are, because let me say, for instance, I'll just use an example here, right?
Yes.
One contractor come and tell you, well, I have a team to make up about 5 gangs, and he alone know all the people. You don't know nothing. All you know, you just paying out a salary to people who you think working, because the person who comes forward and say, well, he have a team, you just paying based on that. You must know the people that they employ. I mean to say, if it's not everything that they will know. If you have to seek as assistance from members of the private sector, nothing is wrong with doing that. But you must know the people who are collecting a government salary. Understand what I said? That way you will know who it is collecting money and what they are collecting money for. If they really consider what it is people has been suggesting to them. You see how, I'm going to explain something to you. When people are accustomed doing a certain thing and making and getting reward out of it, soon as they hear somebody come in and they put a stop to it, and they hear people start to complain, it's because they know they're doing something wrong all the time. And now that they know somebody pulled the plug and they can't benefit from the corruption that they was involved in anymore. Here is the reason why you hear people talking now. I am saying you must know the people who are employed under the state. If you don't know, then you're spinning top in mud, therefore you ain't making no sense. Thank you.
Okay. So on the HR side of it, the caller is saying that you're paying people. There must be systems. Sam Matterson talks about how much people in the Bank of China. You have to know who you're paying. And if one slip you 1 month, all right. How do people do this for a career? Okay, 1 month you get through. Right? You didn't show up. Never. And you got to pay. We could give that. But how does this happen for years and months? What are our systems, or what are our compensation systems? Is it just we still taking screenshot of copybook page and sending them name? Is still that and sheet, and how does it happen?
No, it became because some aspects of URP,
yes,
have become institutionalized unofficially.
Right.
And
custom and practice.
And therefore, what I can tell you is like that bankard system that Selvon just talked about.
Yes.
So you have a element that URP called the coordinators. They are the one who know where the projects are. They are the one who will be meeting with the MPs. They are the one who will know what project need to be worked on, and they would most of the workforce of the program is allocated to them.
Right.
In each region. So what you find happen is that area of it have become over the years very corrupt.
Right.
You have a lot of people who never even worked, they never even went out on a gang. All they know is that they have a card and money's put on that card, and but the certain, if it's I don't want to say probably a gang leader, the ghost.
Yeah.
He will have all the cards and he will tax everybody. So if you had to get $1,000, he will take out the $600 and you get the card for doing nothing. You get $400 because your name was on the list.
Right.
And that nobody could say that doesn't happen. That is what happens in the program at the lower end. Now you have the administrative people who will do all the things that Selvon talking about. I think they are there still. They're doing all the machine shop work. They understand what's had to happen.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
But you have that element of ghost that is happening where you're cheating productivity and not getting the kind of, for the money you're spending, you're not getting the service for it. But some politicians will say, well, at least you're putting money in some people's pocket who don't have it, and there's a need to do that also.
Yeah, and I am pro-welfare. Let me get it wrong. Let me get it right, sorry. Let me don't get it wrong. I am pro-welfare. I understand the poor and the disenfranchised. And these groups will always be with us, as a caller said. And there'll be a certain group that is more susceptible. Now, somehow the statistics reveal, the data reveals that there's a gender issue in those who access the program, meaning that they are predominantly female. Now that is of concern because traditionally we say that the females do better than the males. The statistics say that when you look at school and results and educational results up to a certain level. However, we have a demographic here where this program, this unemployment relief program, is being accessed or caters for in terms of its recruitment for more women than men. That is something that needs a different type of intervention and a different type of engineering. Because where do they go? Where would they go without the program? So I get this whole giving them entrepreneurial skills and weaning them off. But maybe this contributes to the recidivism in the program. Because of let me take this call. Let me hear this caller. Caller, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, umpires.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, what I have to say.
Yes.
That this phenomenon of females, that is a phenomenon based on the number of single parents we have in this country today.
Right.
Headed by females, because going back to the old due days in our gang, you might have about 2 females to about 8 men.
Right.
And it's so-called water carriers.
So this phenomenon of I don't like the family structure.
Yes.
Has collapsed in Trinidad and Tobago in a very, very serious.
Water carriers.
I grew up in a home. I never had stepmother, stepfather, stepsister. I know nothing about that family structure.
Right.
You know, it seems because I know sit down here. I wasn't calling today.
No, man, we need to hear you. We need to hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. It seems as all the attempts by Mr. Manning to solve these problems failed. He came up with the idea of CPEP after trying to transform CDEP from Tasmania and Australia to here. And that has, look at the condition CPEP is in today. He also came with URP. He was the man who came up with this unemployment relief program and it end up in a mess today.
Yep.
So I don't know if his advisors or he himself didn't understand what we call Fabian socialism, that is trying to help those who cannot help themselves.
Don't forget Netco too, eh?
Huh?
Netco, he came up with Netco.
Yeah, so
and all these things just went.
It's in a bank, say, right, tomorrow we're going to start that. I do not know.
Down the drain.
There was no proper structure, and we're paying the price for it.
Yep.
Right? So that's why I have to say put on these things.
So, caller, before you leave, do you think it's redeemable, the URP program?
Yes, it's redeemable. First, that contract element they have to collapse that.
Yes.
Right? And we also have to you see, it goes. I believe the education system has to be altered too, because we cannot be a country of dunce, or people cannot help themselves.
Yeah.
I keep telling people URP, well, in the state it is, and CPEP, and you can't walk through it. Not today, everybody will not $10 or $5. Right? I will say one thing to Mr. Chambers last days, when this ghost gang phenomenon started up in June. He placed 2 senior policemen in June to monitor patients and things like inspector and a superintendent. And in his last days,
yes,
the corruption went down.
Yes.
Because these people were there monitoring, right? Monitoring the accounts. Because they were police officers who were trained in fraud and things. And Chambers used that as a control mechanism. And because of that, the ghost gang phenomenon collapsed to a certain degree in youth.
Yes.
But it's a whole set of thing. It's a whole set of thing. So we definitely have to restructure this program. I don't know how it is, but the schools are apparently not doing good, and we're having a lot of people who seems, as I said, they just went to the school front door and came back to the back. And then we have this massive phenomenon of single homes, single parent family with females as head.
Yes.
So these are the deeper issues that we have to deal with. And religious people, they and all have to do a part. And I don't know what is happening as far as that aspect is concerned, but the society, family life, education, religious life, everything has to be to be awakened again, right? So that we end up with as the lady said, we cannot. Well, the poor will always be with us, and Karl Marx stated that in societies you have 2 classes, which is the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. But inside the proletariat, you have a sector they call a section they call the lumpen proletariat, which is the criminal element inside.
Thanks, caller. Final word, gentlemen.
Yeah, I think what all of this that is happening with URP and everything is telling us that we need, and the caller just alludes it, is that we need to now start to look to see how we can develop people to start to think for themselves, to become independent, put them into business, and
yes,
that kind of thing. And I think tomorrow, to a large extent, we will be talking about programs and banking, those elements that could make people self-sufficient through business development.
So, yeah.
Fully agree. See you all tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.